All right, so I'm walking right on the Appalachian Trail here, and boy, I don't know how well this is going to come out on camera, but there is a round donut-shaped kind of formation in the earth here. You got a big, like, moat, if you will, around. Here's a stone structure, and then it's kind of collapsed in the middle. This is a collier's hut, and this would have been their chimney. And right next to it is the charcoal flat. So this flat area is where they were making charcoal, and that was their house. Very cool. I'm kind of not sure what iron furnace community we are near, but when I get home and look at a map, I'll see if I can connect that to a particular furnace. Typically, you find clusters of colliers' huts. Like sometimes you'd find like 3 or so in a small area. Kind of like a miniature community out in the woods among the guys that made charcoal. So I'm going to keep my eyes open to see if I can find any more. Tough place to live though, man, because they're typically up on these ridge tops and there's no water source, or at least very rarely can you find a water source. And they lived out here. Colliers made charcoal every season but winter. Winter was considered too windy and too risky, and you'd lose a batch of charcoal if you made a batch in the winter and the winter winds picked up. It could ruin your whole pile of coal. But it took 7 to 10 days to make a batch of charcoal, and it needed constant attention. So they had to live near where they were making charcoal. So that's why that hut, the charcoal hut, was really close to the flat. They would kind of want to be right there so that they could be on hand if there was trouble, and there often was trouble. You know, the fire would burn through, or the sides would give in. The whole point of making charcoal is to kind of smolder the wood and cook out the impurities and reduce it to a pure hydrocarbon. And so you don't want to actually burn it, you just want to char it. So here's another charcoal pit. I just thought this one might be more visible because the trail goes around it. So see this man-made flat surface up top, and this road that we're on, which is actually the Appalachian Trail. This would have been originally the wagon road. The wagons typically came on the bottom side of the mound to then load out. And check this out. There's still bits and pieces of charcoal here. And I'd be willing to bet most of the charcoal that they made up on this mountain would have been American chestnut with some other hardwoods mixed in, but the chestnut's all gone from the chestnut blight. But this is really a cool spot because you can see the old wagon road. Right there's the top level of the mound. And so far I've only found one collier's hut. It'd be cool if I could find another one. I just reached out to my friend Ben Carter to get more information regarding what iron furnace community this is all a part of. If anyone knows, Ben will know. All right, we've got an interesting something right here on the right. Let's see if we can make sense of this. Sometimes that might just be a place where they were digging out some topsoil. Sometimes topsoil was in short supply and you need topsoil to cover the top of your pit, do what's called dusting your pit for making charcoal. So sometimes I think if they found a good little pocket of topsoil, they would dig it out. And so sometimes when I'm out hiking forests that used to be used for charcoal, you find these strange miscellaneous pits, and I really think that's all they are, a source of topsoil. Haven't seen another person yet. Somebody's bound to be on the Appalachian Trail today. Look at all these acorns. The Appalachian Trail is just covered in acorns here. And it's April. So all these acorns fell last fall. That's pretty cool. Oak trees exhibit what's called having mast years, M-A-S-T. And what that means is every couple of years they will randomly generate more acorns than the predators can eat. and that way it ensures some of the acorns are going to survive to resprout. So pretty cool. What isn't clear is how do they communicate to do that. I'm not going to go check it out, but there's an Appalachian Trail shelter right there. Pretty cool. You know, is the DNA clock pre-programmed that all the oak trees make their mast years synchronized because they're all containing the same genetic future calendar? Okay, that's one possibility. The other is that there is some environmental trigger that, look at all these acorns, it's just incredible. There's some environmental trigger that causes each oak tree, or at least a particular forest, to have a mast year. Yeah, I don't mean to indicate that it's like every single oak tree in North America. It's more like these little regional stands. So you'll get a mountain like this, and this particular mountain will have a mast year, and then it'll be very few acorns for a few years in a row. All right, we're getting pretty close to the spine of the mountain here. Less than a mile. Man, what a scramble. Somebody posted online never to try this in the winter, and I would agree. It's also pretty difficult with a pack on. Got about a 45-pound pack on. That's making it kind of tough. Look at these big, gorgeous lichens. I would not want to visit here in rattlesnake season. Then again, maybe I would. The rocks are just a little slippery. The rain made the moss just a little slippery. I'll check in when I get back to the top. Wow. Cloudy to the north. There's Blue Mountain going west. A little clear in the valley to the south. Wow. So I just got here 3 minutes ago, and I could see down here over the field, the boulder field, and I could see all these trees. Now all this fog's rolling right up. A cool view down in the valley. Okay, so this is Pulpit Rock. Schuylkill County to the north, Lehigh County to the south. Kutztown, where I student taught, is due south, probably right about where the visibility ends. And there's just a bunch of small farm towns down in here. I think the biggest one that I heard of was Lenhartsville, but a lot of the other ones are just kind of small, and I'm just not familiar with them. So this is called Pulpit Rock. I don't know if it's one specific rock, is the maybe that guy over there where I first came up was Pulpit Rock, or if the whole outcrop is just Pulpit Rock. But a pretty cool place to visit the day after Easter. I don't know if anybody had a sunrise service up here or not, but It's a pretty special spot. Looking down in the Lehigh Valley. Lehigh Valley is kind of one big giant valley. Actually, what I should say is it's more of a conglomeration of valleys. So, you know, we are looking at a valley here. This is not the singular Lehigh Valley, because Lehigh Valley kind of refers to much of the entire Piedmont, you know, into the Berks County area. So I bet each little valley here has its own little name, and I'm just not familiar with it. So not a whole lot to choose from in the way of large trees on this rocky outcrop. You know, there's some real big white pines down below me, but that kind of defeats the point of climbing a big tree that's lower than where we're standing right now. So I passed a black birch or sweet birch back here that I might just free climb. But before I do, there is a tree that is stumping me. There's a couple of these up here on this ridgetop. And like they're all coming out of this cluster, like one big thick stump sprout. And as I'm like studying the leaves that are on the ground, it sure looks to be something in the cherry family. And you'll notice there are these like fruits from last season. It's really got me stumped. I mean, like this part, real stocky, almost looks like an aspen. And it isn't an aspen, I know that. But, and then the trunk, the bark on the trunk really looks like something in the cherry family. So the fact that it's got these fruits and leaves similar to cherry, there's a lot of birch mixed in down here, but I'm seeing, there you go, that's a cherry leaf. So we got some kind of special cherry variety. I'd be willing to bet it's native. It's just, this is its jam, man, up on these rocky ridge tops. This is its happy, normal spot. So it's just a variety I need to go home and key out and figure out what I'm dealing with, because it's not something I'm used to down on the flats, down along the Susquehanna River and places like that. I just don't see that species. But a lot of sweet birch, black birch. There's some red maple hiding in here. I think the biggest tree is just this little guy here, this little 20-footer that I'm gonna free climb and scramble back down this rocky crag. I am not even going to use a lanyard, a harness for this climb. Can't go much more than head height here. And that's gonna be it. I'll take it. I carried all that gear just to be safe. But here at the top, this birch, let's taste it. Nice sweet birch. Heading back down. Tough place to be a tree. Can't be any soil up here. It's making its own soil. Actually, what you see is primary succession. So primary succession is when you have things living on bare rock. So these lichens and moss are primary succession. Behind me, I got a nice patch of moss. And so they're literally building soil. Secondary succession is when you already have soil established. So like down in the forest there. So if there were to be a tornado or a forest fire, a forest will come back. That's called secondary succession. Primary succession is when you start with bare rock. What a beautiful spot. All right, the fog's starting to overtake me. I better get down. I'm questioning the wisdom of coming here solo. It is pretty sketchy. Just super, super slippery. The lichen and the moss is like coconut oil. I have my climbing helmet on because I think it's a good idea. But there's some drop-offs here and there. Like, look at this. That goes down in a ways. So I'm on my butt, just working my way down. I think I answered my own question when I said, I wonder if anybody was up there for Easter sunrise service. Ain't no way. Well, I shouldn't say no way, but this would be a really treacherous climb in the dark with a headlamp on. It's a treacherous climb right now. This is climb number 39. I forgot to mention it was at about 1,700 feet above sea level. And I can definitely say that this was the rockiest ascent to a summit that I've had yet. Rudy and I had a pretty good one coming into, is that Carbon County? I think Rudy, the one I did with Rudy, we had some really cool rocks, but nothing quite like this.